Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jarrell Mason, aka J Mace, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Album Cover, where we get inside the entertainment industry with those in the know and give them their flowers while they're here to be celebrated. With me right now, I have one of my white whales. I've been working on getting this man on my podcast for years. We have finally made it happen. Thank you, Jamie. This man has played a big part in our childhoods. If you grew up in the 90s, you heard of a little group that made you want to jump, jump. Yes, Chris Cross. Tour DJ of Chris Cross. If you were down in Atlanta at Club Kaya, you know this man. He's put out albums. He put out radio shows in the last with DJ Nabs, which will be celebrating 30 years this year. And he, like me, from NC, shout out to the Bull City. So we're gonna get into all that and then some with the one and only DJ Nabs. DJ Nabs, thank you for coming on Beyond the Album Cover, sir, and it's an honor and pleasure to have you.
Man, thank you for that great introduction. For sure. I'm happy we made it happen. It has been some years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has been some years. 'Cause I remember reaching out years ago to having you be on the podcast, and I'm glad we're finally able to get this going. So definitely shout out to Jamie for making this happen, and I'm glad that you're finally here. So let me just go ahead and not waste your time. Where were you born, and what made you fall in love with this thing called music?
Man, I was born in Durham, North Carolina. My dad is from DC, my mom's from Durham. So they met and I was born, it was the 70s and I played in Bible Way Church in Durham is where I was in the choir and I played the saxophone, which is my first instrument that my Uncle Joe helped me get, Uncle Joe Milford. And by the time I was 10 years old, my cousin Joe had, well, my Uncle Joe bought my cousin and myself Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. And that's how I really heard rap for the first time, I would say. And not long after that, hearing Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel made me want to be a DJ. So I started DJing about 1984,
Oh
about
man,
4 years after I heard, yeah. So I used to think, man, I used to really think I was not a pioneer and not trying to be funny and nothing like that. But I used to think that, well, I wasn't there when Flash and Grand Wizard Theodore and Cool Herc and Pete DJ Jones, everybody was doing their thing. But now, man, 1984, that's a long time. I've been DJing, and even when I listened to my very first radio show in 1985, I'm right there. And not meant the world wasn't even embracing hip hop back then. So now I look at myself as a pioneer, just because of the length of time involved. Rap was only, as commercial music was only 5 years old. But anyway, I know we're getting to a lot, but that's kind of I fell into hip hop at 10 years old and grew up hip hop for real. Every piece of it, freestyle, bass, electro funk, instrumental rap, hip hop, as a whole thing grew. And I have all the records to prove it. I have all the flyers. I have everything I've ever experienced in my life. I pretty much kept.
which is great
So
that you have an archive of hip hop history from your time in North Carolina, moving down to Georgia, and that kind of segues to the next thing I want to go into. You mentioned your first radio mix show in 1985. I believe that was on WKNC Magic 88 when you was on Waxmaster Tory's Music Showcase, correct?
yes. And I cannot remember how Tori and I met. Tori later became Trey Black for those who may know about him from the Dangerous Mind soundtrack and the movie Dangerous Mind and his stint in LA as a radio DJ, again under the name Trey Black. But we met, clearly it was 85, 84, 85 when we met. Tori was already a big radio DJ and he had a show on KNC. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And yeah, that was my first show. We actually just put it up on my site, djnabs.com, for people to be able to download it so they can really hear it and listen to it. Um, but also from there, I mean, Tori started doing records, which was very inspiring to me. So I wanted to do more, I wanted to do records like that.
Mhm.
And I also was DJing for a group called the Icy Girls, and one of those young ladies, Frosty, she actually made a record called I Need Love Now, which was the answer record to LL Cool J's I Need Love. So that happened about 87. So those are my early experiences in North Carolina, some of them before moving to Atlanta in '88.
Okay, now I still want to stay on NC really quick. Now you mentioned
Sure.
Waxmaster Tory went by Trey Black out west. Now I believe if you look at the movie Fat Beach, I believe he was the radio personality in Fat Beach, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I thought for some reason I thought that was the same. It's not Dangerous Minds, huh? It's
Yeah,
another movie
he
that he
was
was in,
on the
huh?
Dangerous
Because you
Minds soundtrack with the Put You Back Into It record. Because I was listening to it and I was like, Trey Black. Because I remember looking up about Wax Master Tory and seeing that he went by Trey Black
right.
out west, trying to put two and two together. So I thought that was really dope. Now, at this time, was this pre WFXC?
When which I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
Trevor was definitely later. I mean, he was definitely not using Waxmaster Tory, so I don't know if WFXC. I don't know who was he Waxmaster Tory or Trey
yeah,
Black then.
He was Wax Master Tory because there was a clip on YouTube of a
Okay.
mix show from '87. It was Wax Master Tory, DJ
Oh,
Sound Machine,
yeah.
KGB.
Yes, all of that still Waxmaster Tory. Yeah, he didn't become a Trey Black probably until the '90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember hearing him as a
That's
kid on WQOK, South Boston, Durham, Raleigh, K97.5, and the
right.
Saturday Night Mix Party, and hearing him, Wink Moody, Cy Young, Chris Connors. That was my dream growing up as a kid in Eastern North Carolina was to be on K97. So can you tell me about that process of making that mix for WKNC, which is, for those that don't know, NC State's college radio station?
Okay, so way back then. Okay, so we're talking about 1985. So I mean, I had the old Technique 12 B10s. I can't even tell you what my turntables were, but I did not have Technique 1200. So Tori, we we um we asked Generette, who it was from a group called Strike Force Disco, to borrow his 1200 turntables. And he allowed us to use those turntables. I don't know if it was a GLX mixer or not, but it was something around about there. If he allowed us to use that, because it was about 2 weeks. I did a canned food jam at Durham High School with those turntables, doing that brief time I had those turntables. But I made that mix on Tori's first show with those turntables. Generette is also the nephew of Miss Shirley Caesar, if I'm not mistaken. Nephew. I used to say yes, nephew, because I asked her. You see, that's her nephew. So and I was in the 11th grade. So that meant a lot to even be on the radio. And I was able to do it more than once. I can't remember how many times I did it, but again, I went from there to continue to do parties. At Central, because when I graduated from Durham High in '86, I went to North Carolina Central for a few years. So I was DJing parties there with Travis Gales, and I was performing with the North Carolina Central Marching Eagles as well, playing the saxophone because the saxophone and the turntable went hand in hand. Saxophone was in school, turntables was outside of the school learning. Um, Tim Green, Mr. Freeze, these people were very influential in my life. Mr. Freeze was where I got my records. Mr. Freeze was my first promoter. Actually, he put me on the show with Roxanne Shante and Marley Marl, my man Greg G, um, Mello, Meek was our beatbox. I'm missing a couple people, but that was that era. But the big thing at that period was what I mentioned a little bit earlier about when Frosty was able to put her record out, I Need Love. We were able to do shows outside of the city. So we flew to Toledo, Ohio, and did performances with UTFO, opening up for them. I had literally had the flyer for that. Steady B, Spoonie G. I met all of them on the show. That one particular show in Toledo, and of course we moved around different states in North and South Carolina as Frosty's record "I Need Love Now" was moving, being played in different
Mhm.
stations. Because when they played LL Cool J record, they played Frosty "I Need Love."
Mhm.
So I don't want to go all over the place, but
Yeah, now you
continue.
good. So it was the companion record. Now you mentioned Mr. Freeze, and I remember hearing his at Mr. Freeze records and tapes, and how back
Yes.
during those days was Dorton Arena one of the spots that really embraced hip hop in the Triangle, or was it like small little mom and pop spots that really allowed rap to really flourish in the Triangle at that time?
That really be a better question for Mr. Freeze because he was like the adult. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I was definitely young. But Mr. Freeze had shows at Dorton Arena. That's where we were.
Okay.
Mr. Freeze brought Roxanne Shante and Sparky D here
Wow.
at Dorton Arena, and myself and them would open up. I DJ for several people, really, just to be honest with you. My guy Greg G and our crew, the Icy Girls, which turns into Frosty, with her record. Um, Travis Gales, my crew at North Carolina Central University. I was available for my crew, so to speak, my team, my friends.
Mm,
Um, so yeah. Yeah, free. So to your question, our flyers, and there are lots of flyers that exist from, I would say, 83, 82 to 87, 88. And there's more past that, but I'm gonna say those are my collection of flyers from North Carolina. Parties were everywhere. I mean, I did parties at Great Hall too, at UNC. That was a big deal. Um, at Great Hall. So yeah, and we did parties downtown Durham in hotels. I mean, I would almost need, like, again, a lot of the older guys to tell you how we
mm,
got to be in those places. But
mm,
photos at the Sweatbox, North Carolina Central University's gym, right? We have lots of pictures in there between 80, like I said, 86, 87, 88, 89, doing parties in that Sweatbox.
mm.
So it was wherever we could put it. It was growing, so everywhere was a good place.
Yeah, had to get in where you fit in. If those walls that Holiday Inn, you know what Holiday Inn I'm talking about. If they could talk, the armories, the high school gyms, and anywhere that you could.
Yeah.
And it's very important that you're telling this story because when we think of North Carolina hip hop, we tend to think about the triad and what was going on in Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point. And then we see the triangles hip hop history, then the hip hop history in my part of the state, Northeastern NC. So it's glad to see that the story is being preserved and to seeing where it is now, thanks to Little Brother, Rhapsody, Ninth Wonder, J. Cole, so on and so forth, and just really putting on for NC.
I'm glad you said that. You know what needs to happen now, though? And it took a while I mean, it's just things go in a cycle, right? New York hip hop, how they started, the books that came, the documentaries that came through the 80s and the 90s, because I was buying books on hip hop histories in the 80s and the 90s, right? Because there were things I missed. And then, imagine, you've been a part of history, right, in the 90s, and then it goes away, people fade away, and then all of a sudden they come back and they're legendary. Now, Crisscross, Outkast is celebrated, all of these things are celebrated. J. Cole is celebrated, artists are celebrated. Well, then people have to start gathering the history. When 50 years of hip hop came, a lot of people was scrambling to go get their history together, right? And so that's happening. Now I think with North Carolina, there is not one cohesive North Carolina hip hop story yet. There's not one. Um, there's not even a place where it all convenes, where Ninth Wonder story convenes with mine and the Butter Team and Strike Force Disco, which is before. That's the 80s. Strike Force Disco, when I came into Durham High School in 82, Strike Force Disco was already there. They was already everything that you can consider hip hop to be. They had the sound system, the speakers, the lights. That's how we heard Planet Rock. That's at the party. We heard Electric Kingdom. Got shot at DJ Polo. Those guys. So it was already in place. But the system on the place wasn't a radio station. It wasn't a this. So it had to be late night hip hop mix shows, which is why Waxmaster Tory was so important. These are things but I'm just speaking to the audience.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyway, and coming to where's North Carolina's cohesive, or even the Carolinas cohesive story? So that's just yet to be told. Our
Yeah,
museum, for
yeah,
instance,
yeah.
our, you know, and let me say this, I'm gonna tell you this in real time. I've been a part of documentaries and stuff in real time. So what I'm saying is, one of my first professional gigs outside of North Carolina happened while I was a student in Georgia and meeting Speech. Speech was in a group called Secret Society. They eventually became Arrested Development. I remixed that single Tennessee. Bam, they in the music business, and bam, all of a sudden I'm in the music business. They were managed by the same person. That's how I got the opportunity to slip my demo or had that conversation. And Crisscross became an opportunity from that same situation.
Wow.
And we took the, and so again, we didn't know how these opportunities would unfold, but we were just, just reaching out there, you know what I'm saying? Just
Right.
trying to find a way to get into the business and be expressive with this hip hop. Go ahead.
Right. And expound on how'd you end up ending up in Georgia and what was it like when you first got down there and trying to make your bones?
What happened with that basically is that after I did the touring situation with Frosty, Frosty didn't want to perform anymore. She didn't want to do any more records because she had an opportunity. She could have done more records, but she chose not to. After that, I wanted to do something. I just wanted to continue to perform and do things. So a friend of mine who had graduated from DeVry in Atlanta brought me to Atlanta, me and my best friend Luke Duke, to do his graduation party. And once I got there, I was blown away. I was blown away by the women. What I saw was a big, beautiful city with a lot of black people moving and grooving, looking like they were doing well. And I heard the DJs, and I always say this, I heard the DJs, and I knew I could come down there and compete. And so we came back to Durham, packed up. 2 weeks later, moved back to Georgia with 3 crates of records and two mattresses in an old white '69 van. Me and my best friend Luke,
Wow. And what year was this?
1988, and I stayed for 30 years. 1988.
88. Okay. So this is right around the time when
Yep.
with Atlanta hip hop you had King Get With Jay, the mixtapes, Mojo, Let Mojo Handle It, Kilo Ali, Raheem the Dream. A lot of those local, if you know old school Atlanta hip hop, then those guys were bubbling. Then you had success with SOS Band. And then what was later to come when Ellie and Babyface started to set up shop in Atlanta with LaFace. So what was it like for
Yeah.
you being down there in real time when all that is coming into play?
Well, let me say this from a hip hop perspective, right? I was in Atlanta, and that wasn't a hip hop town or hip hop city. That was an R&B city. And I'm gonna say that very specifically because I've made my living as a DJ. And so even though I got there in '88 and I eventually got into college, 6 or 7 months because I just felt like I needed to be, I was on the grind to DJ. So I did DJ competitions. I eventually got on the mix show weekend on the biggest station down there, V103. This is '88 now. Uh, '89, I'm probably in some clubs. I did Freaknik. Freaknik was was the DC Metro Club. Now I told you my dad's from DC. The DC Metro Club down in Georgia put that on. I was hired in '89, I think. Me and Speech, Chris Atchison from South Carolina, maybe Darryl Wadsworth, and a few other people all went down there in the van, the truck, and I was the DJ, and it was a go-go band. And these were the gigs, and these were the things I was doing to survive. So I'm playing and DJing. I'm playing. It's 90% R&B. The Success and Effect. I mean, Kilo didn't come to 1990. Success and Effect was big when I got there. Who rock, D Rock. That record was big. Raheem the Dream. That record was big. It was big for people who like rap.
Mhm.
It wasn't big for the radio. It wasn't big in the clubs. Dominique Wilkins, people like Deion Sanders, and I think Deion or Dominique can't remember which club was first because I think Dominique came later. But Deion Sanders was the man. He had a club down there, adult club. You had to wear suits. Mr. V's had clubs down there. You had to wear suits. As a DJ, I got in the clubs 89, 1990. As a student, I'm wearing a suit DJing in these clubs they're talking about. Club Excess, I'm wearing a suit in there. Tie, suspended, not a full suit, but and I got pictures of everything I'm telling you. Hip hop, we didn't get a rap station down in Georgia, which is also going to coincide back here to North Carolina until 1995. So from 1988 to 1995, rap clubs were rap clubs was near and far, like they wasn't around like that. Adult clubs, New Jack Swing. Got to think about the New Jack Swing, heavy, hard. So rap again, stepchild until about the 2000s. But again, this is a whole long conversation to me when you get into the nitty gritty for people to really understand that. But that 85, that 80s through the 90s, hip hop was coming up. 96, 97, Tupac, all that, right? That's coming up.
Mhm.
2000s, you get Luda, Sierra, you get Crunk, right? But
Mhm.
it don't happen till then. All early Atlanta is still mostly R&B. So that's they're a little heavy with the Dirty South rap when they come with those stories. It's not enough. It's not
Yeah.
one enough rap records in a crate
Right.
to carry no party. Just being, you understand what I'm saying? Just
Yes,
Dirty
sir.
South rap records. Salt and
Yes,
Pepper,
sir.
LL Cool J, still running the shit. When In Vogue came with Hold On, Booming System was the biggest club in the record too. Hip Hop
Mhm.
Parade, Hip Hop. These records is huge. I wanna sex you up. 94, 95, Color Me Bad. Roll it up, my nigga. Roll it. Look, club, teen clubs, mix shows late at night over here. And
Mhm.
and wherever bass records were, bass records did what they did, but there was Miami bass and it was Atlanta bass. Then there was Texas rap. All that was all UGK, 8 Ball, MJG, all in the mix. So I'm gonna say this as a North Carolina DJ who came from here, who was influenced by go-go, house, rap music, didn't really care about where music was from. When I went to Georgia, I fit right in. Because I played and I loved everything. Go-go didn't really slide too much down there. I'm talking about those early years. But everything else, I just picked up on it. But the big records around the world were the same big records down in Atlanta.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree because
If you follow.
yeah, I follow what you're saying because if you think about it, rap at that time was still regional. And you had these regional sounds that were being played everywhere, and it really wasn't where, like in the later time period, like you stated, that everybody figured out that national formula where we're gonna take the best of these regional sounds and just make it more national with wide commercial appeal.
And listen, and it took time. It took time, and it was all. We also talking about a period of time when who's thinking about who you think is pushing, trying to get rap big and trying to make not very, very few people. That's why they gave these like people boutique labels like Diddy and Jermaine and right
Hmm.
because well, let's you guys take the risk, right? We're not gonna put Biggie Smalls on Arista Records with Whitney. We're gonna put him on Bad Boy that's on Arista with Whitney,
Hmm.
right? So so hip hop, I'm telling you, always, especially all the way through the 90s, was a fight. You had to fight to play rap records on the radio if you was at a radio station like I was. If you was at nightclubs, you had to fight to play it at the right time, when to play it, when not to play it. Tear the Club Up came out in 1996. My boy DJ Hurd did the bass mix. They didn't want us to stop playing that record in the club, bro. They didn't want that record in the club. Hey man, we gonna play this record at 12:30, bro. That's just it, right? Club
Hmm.
hot. To me, I fight all the way through. And like Gip recently said, we had it till we didn't.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now, this leads me to my next question. How'd you end up linking up with Crisscross?
All right, so going back to the I'm in college at Morris Brown, DJ battles, DJ and whatever, speech, and I meet. We develop a friendship, headliner, click. There's three guys in the original Arrested Development group, Secret Society. So I was their DJ as well. But that's again my thing. If I rock with you, I'm help everybody. So they got a deal, man. They got a deal, and Speech came and brought me Tennessee, let me hear it. I was staying on 201 South Richardson, right downtown Atlanta. And they came up to my apartment, and I couldn't believe it. It was so good. And Speech asked me to do a remix of it, an all turntable remix. We wouldn't do no samplers because CDs was coming out pretty heavy, and they did have CD, um, not CD controllers, but you could trigger these CDs. They had DJ CD players for DJs.
Hmm.
But we're saying, man, we're gonna keep the power to the vinyl. So that's if anybody has the original Arrested Development remix vinyl, it says power to the vinyl in the circle, and it says all vinyl remix. So that it was just fate, man. They got a deal. I did the remix. I needed to get paid. Speech said, come down to rehearsal. Michael Malden, who's Jermaine Dupri's father, who I didn't know that at the time, but Michael Malden would be there, the manager, so I could get my check. I went and met Michael. Michael said basically, nice guy and everything, gave me my demo. I had my black and white glossy. My demo had DJ Nabs, the turntable instrumentalist, because that's what I went by. And we had a good conversation, and Mike said, "Yeah, my son has heard of you, blah blah blah, with the whoop." Talking about referencing Jermaine, which just sliding back a little bit. Jermaine and I had met beforehand at Club Excess, he came to meet me because I had been playing his record, The Other Guy by JV and the Straight Jackets on V103. Because again, before Crisscross, for Social Death, I'm still doing the radio thing I'm telling you about, right? College in Atlanta, clubs in Atlanta, on the radio, on the rap shows, pushing the rap, right? Inside the big station that's pushing R&B. So I'm playing Jermaine records. That's how I met Jermaine. So Jermaine and I met. Going back to Michael and rehearsal with Arrested Development, Michael ends up calling me and asked me, do I have a passport? And I said, I do not. He said, we're gonna have to get you one. And that's when he told me about the Michael Jackson Dangerous tour. But before that, we would need to film a video, which was the video ended up being the Wear the Rhyme live video at Masquerade. We would shoot that, rehearse, shoot that, and then fly to Europe. And that's what happened. And it just happened fast, just like that.
Man, that's so crazy because for those of us who grew up in the 90s, Criss Cross was it. Let me tell you, I was one of those kids that had their shirts and pants backwards. My cousin dubbed for me on a clear Maxell tape, totally crossed out. I begged for it, and to just see these young kids doing jump and warm it up. I mean, the sneak line of you can get the finger, the middle, my 6, 7 year old self was like, what is he talking about? But now I'm like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And then for them to go on tour with the King of Pop himself, Michael Jackson, and this perfect timing
Timing, man.
with the April movie that's coming out, and they were in the Jam video. I mean, people don't understand how huge Crisscross was.
Right. Yeah. I just think you have to picture whatever the biggest artist is today and just say that's the biggest artist. That's what it was like.
Mm,
Because what we were on legends, bullet trains. I mean, these were things that I just saw on the news, and now we on a legit because we
mm,
need to be somewhere in 8 hours that normally would take 16 or whatever the case may be. But because right, we
mm,
performed for kings and queens
mm.
along with other legendary acts. So a lot of things happen. Um, during that brief 2 to 3 years with Crisscross, and so yeah, it was something that was meant to be.
Yeah, it definitely was meant to be. And if you go look at the video for I Missed the Bus, you'll see DJ Nabs in the video sitting on the bus with the Michael Jackson shirt on.
Let me tell you something about that. You may notice there's a scene with the shirt with the Michael Jackson. I'm sorry, and then you'll see there's one, and it's just black. Midway through that video, they realized I was wearing a Michael Jackson shirt and asked me to turn it around.
Oh, really?
Did you notice that?
I did not notice
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So go back and look at that. Yeah,
Man, that's
yeah.
definitely crazy.
And for those folks down in Atlanta that may be checking this out, I had my V103 chain on right then and there uh, that
Mhm.
they gave us back in the day.
Yeah.
A
So
radio station spot was a coveted spot back in the day.
yes, it was. Being a former radio personality, I know that all to a local radio, if you were the top DJ in night mix shows or club DJ, you were a celebrity. You would get anywhere for free. Everything was going to get comped. And it was back when local radio had power
Agreed.
and reach. And reach. So I want to transition to what was it like coming off of working the tour with Chris Cross and going back to work immediately, or did you take a little bit of a breather, a reset before diving back into club DJing after that whirlwind?
No, no, no. It all really just flowed because I wasn't in a position to like stop or nothing like that. The things that were happening for me doing crisscross that were amazing and great was obviously touring. You make that money. What that is, I was able to have a song on the second album, the DJ Nash Break, which is also on the single. So I published my first song, which is a scratch composition, which is dope. Um, to look back and know that I was able to do that. Sprite commercials, television shows that we would get paid for. All these things was happening. When Chris Cross decided to stop, because that's what happened, I moved on with the Brat. I kept moving, basically working with Michael Malden, Jermaine's father, and of course the label, with working with the other acts. So I was Escape's first DJ. I was the Brat's first DJ, pretty much, I think. I was definitely then we found Brett. Brett did shows, but I think I was her first DJ. And then when Bow Wow was there and we did shows as the So So Def family, Bow Wow didn't have a record yet. So I'm DJing for everybody. Bow Wow would go out there with his Mickey Mouse change and just do a freestyle. And that's all it would take. He rocked the crowd. Then eventually they gave him Bounce with me. Right.
Mhm.
So then I didn't become Bow Wow's DJ. We ended up getting we got some other people. I mean, Shakim. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it like that. Bow Wow's DJ, DJ Double J and DJ Just were the two guys who auditioned. DJ Just got it, then Shakim came along. So
Mhm.
that's how that happened. So that's the touring record company side. That's not the, like you said, the nightclub, local scene, mix show, whatever, studios, whatever. So I was doing that at the same time, having relationships with people like Jerry Smoke and B, radio programming legend, Steve Hegwood, and other folks in radio that again don't do this. Record company, selling records, writing songs, publishing, touring. It's just a different world. So I kept my foot in both of those like my whole entire career.
Mhm.
And then in the middle, Lab Productions. Anything I want to do on my own skate parties, my own nights with Club Kaya, which led to my album deal, producing my own artists, remixing my own stuff, submitting remixes, because that's back in the day you submit a remix, but if they took it, you got paid. People do remixes for free all day these days, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's kind of how the flow is meant.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me more about Club Kaya, because I've heard from folks that were there, it was a time to be alive.
I think, looking back, one of the reasons that Club Kaya stands out is during that period of time when people didn't have cell phones. We documented it very well, so lots of pictures, lots of videos. Ludacris wasn't famous. Jay-Z was on his third album, Hard Not Life, so technically he wasn't famous. If you knew Jay-Z, you knew Jay-Z. If you didn't, you didn't. But Hard Not Life introduced people to him. So I brought acts and brought people that people didn't know yet. Young Bloods performed at Kaya. Some of this footage I haven't released yet. Um, Grandmaster Flash came and performed for my birthday because I would bring the legends, people I love, the respected, Run DMC, Sugar Hill Gang, Poor Righteous Teachers, Big Daddy Kane, Digital Underground, Awesome 2. And then again, I would give people, Ludacris was part of my show back then, my radio show. So I let Luda perform at Kaya, him and Poon Daddy, and eventually put Ludacris on my album. And they had a video shot at Kaya. So Kaya was like a hub where the owners just allowed me to be expressive.
Mhm.
Built a stage, had dancers, had a mirror above the turntables, tilted at an angle so people could see the hand scratching from the audience.
Mhm.
And like I said, we documented it well. I ended up getting an album deal with Columbia, major label deal from submitting a live recording from that night. Um, Obviously, I was going on TV and doing different things. And again, I still had my social deaf connection. So all those things were kind of working in hand at the time. Radio
Mhm.
station, nightclub, social deaf, the label, then my own deal. So everything was like a beast all rolling at one time. The tail end of the 90s, rolling through the 2000s.
Yeah, it was a lot of synergy going on. You mentioned Ludacris. Ludacris was a radio personality in Atlanta by the name of Chris Lover Love. I first knew him as Chris Lover Love. He did BET Live from LA when he used to have guest radio DJs from different parts of the US. And that's where I first saw Ludacris. And then he put out Incognito, which was the independent album. And then when he got signed to Def Jam South, back for the first time was pretty much a national re-release of Incognito with a couple of new records sprinkled in for a national audience.
Yeah, very, very well put. Um, when I met Chris, um, it was right when 1996, so 30 years ago. It's been 30 years.
Wow.
I got my show in the lab with Nabs, and I can't remember. I think the PD at the time came and kind of suggested Chris and Poon on my show, kind of younger guys, younger energy. So I was like, cool. We took the group photo, then Chris and I took a photo. And obviously, Chris was a rapper. Now, at this point, by 1996, I done toured with Chris Cross, Michael Jackson, Escape, to be introduced to Brad. Um, so I'm now in my local bag because now I'm locked down to the city 6 days a week. So having Chris and Poon, Chris being a rapper, I was like, man, we need to do music. And so I also let Chris perform like if I had a Fat 7 to 7 countdown, he'd do the intro rap for that. And so I played Chris raps every day. To the point, even Timberland, I heard Timberland recently say he discovered Ludacris, which is interesting because Timberland came to the station and I remember interviewing him. And Ludacris's manager, Shaka Zulu, also worked at the radio station too, by the way. He came on after me at 10 o'clock. So I was on from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Shaka came on from 10 p.m. to 2. And Shaka was also the music director. So Shaka was working his angles, working Chris, and Chris was on my show. And so, again, a little synergy. But Timberland come back to him. I just remember interviewing Timberland. Of course, I'm playing my Fat 7 to 7 promos when Luda's blasting out about the station, blasting about me, Nabs in the lab, this and that, whatever. And I remember saying, "Oh, yo, who's that?" And I just, hey, that's Luda, that's Chris, whatever. So that was my little one too. I think the real breakthrough for Chris though, I mean, again, putting out his own record, that What's Your Fantasy, and I think Mary Catherine, who was I don't know her full title, COO of the station at the time. She loved Chris. She loved all of us really, and she supported him, and she played the hell out of that record. And that's it. That took off. For a label, this is just my opinion. I mean, to this day, that still works, especially in a city like Atlanta. If you get enough radio play on your record, a label's coming.
Mhm.
So Chris worked the deal, and it's been moving for Chris ever since.
Yeah, and that was back when you built enough buzz to where somebody in New York or LA heard you, they were gonna fly down, drive down, do whatever they have to do to get you because you had leverage. Where it's like, look, I'm moving this out the trunk independently, regionally. What do I need you for other than just promote my stuff, give me a P&D deal, so that way I can just sell it out the trunk and just use your distribution arm to give me more backing that I can get on an indie level.
Yeah, hey, I mean, that's how it goes. So yeah, it's lots of stories, man.
It's
Lots of stories of how these
lots.
things can go. That's how
Yes,
that's how that one went.
yes, sir. Lots of stories, lots of history, and I want to get your take real quick. We mentioned Outkast earlier. What's your take on them getting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and knowing that when they first came out, they weren't really accepted overall by hip hop? And we all seen the clip of Andre 3000 at the Source Award saying the South got something to say. And that was pretty much a rallying cry for the South, and to just see them be loved and well respected and revered when knowing that it was an uphill climb for them to get heard and get seen to where they're in the hollow halls of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What's your take on that?
I, I, I think everything about it is great. I think the thing I talk about with everyone around me is how they made the effort to make sure everybody was able to be celebrated. All the musicians, family members, artists, business people. I mean, almost everybody that I know that's involved with them behind the scenes was there, up on that stage. And I think that was beautiful. Everybody wasn't on the stage, but they were definitely there.
Mm,
So I think that's great. I always have to say this because with the rise of, I don't know if you call it information or the rise of awareness with certain things, sometimes it's like some things are left behind or misconstrued. Crisscross brought all the attention to Atlanta back in 92, 93, whatever. But by a certain period of time, it seems to have been forgotten. And Outkast, um, Outkast's rise was not immediate. I'm in Atlanta. I'm on the radio this whole entire period of time, 30 years. 30 years. I've done the radio in Atlanta. And of course, I've done satellite and other things, but to be specific, so I've seen the whole thing, been a part of pushing and playing all of the Atlanta music. And so with the Outkast music, it just it took a while. So again, I think it's all well deserved, but Chris Cross did it too, and that's
mhm.
the only thing I'm trying to say. Because they having that conversation where they're not trying to give them that credit because they were kids. Well, what does that got to do with it?
Yeah, no,
You know
because
what I'm saying? And
yeah, because I say
kids,
Chris.
and what's the difference? 12, 13, and 15 and 16 too. I mean,
Mm,
LL Cool J was 15 when he got signed,
mm,
right? Chris and them came out, they was 13. I mean, Big Boy and them it was in high school in 93 or
yeah,
92,
yeah, I think they were they
right?
were
So,
they were in high school
you
right
know,
around that time.
all of us young, all of us young, all of us
Mm,
kids, everybody's kids. They not like lesser kids because oh, they were lesser kids and they didn't do the work. They did the work, you
right,
know. So I
right.
just think they that's
Right. And I also want to say this as well. You mentioned crisscross being the ones to put the batter in the bat for everything to come after that. I also want to say ABC was doing that as well, because you got to think about it. ABC was big too with Aisha, Playground, and all of that. So I felt like crisscross and ABC both kind of was doing that at the same time. Would you say?
yeah. Well, I just think again, it's all about I guess what we're saying. Like if we're saying put Atlanta on the map, then you could say yeah, groups. There's been all sort of groups from Atlanta that's put them on the map. That's not I don't know rap. But if we want to say rap, let's say specific rap. I don't know if ABC was telling everybody where they was from like that. They could have been. I don't know.
Right.
I was with Chris and them,
Right.
and the global movement was so huge, and everybody asked them where they was from. That's what they said. I didn't say I wasn't. They talked. That was their show. That was their time. And
Mm,
that's all I heard. So for that to be the case, and I understand the gimmick thing, I understand the falling off thing, all of that, but that has nothing to do with history. We're talking about what happened like historically. Historically, who are these two kids from Atlanta? The entire globe asked that. Two kids from Atlanta. So it was not Outkast that brought, from a rap perspective, attention to Atlanta. Crisscross did. They might not have kept it, right?
mm,
But got it. There
yeah.
ain't no question about that. That's every network, every TV around the world, every race, that's what it was.
Right. Right. Real
So I
quick.
support that. Chris not here to do it. So his man Nabs got to do it. You
Mhm.
understand?
Yes,
That's
sir.
all.
Yes, sir. Real quickly, did you
Yeah.
ever take a visit down to the dungeon?
I've never been to the dungeon.
Really?
I've never been to the dungeon. Mm-mm.
Wow. 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 And for those that
Yeah.
don't know about the
Close I've been to the
dungeon,
dungeon. I yeah, man. You're gonna make me bring up a word that right. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I watch, y'all stay with me now. I watched the Get Down. You watched the Get Down,
yes, sir.
right? I wasn't in New York. I loved it. I mean, I was too young. When I saw the Get Down, it was all the stories I kind of heard about a little bit in a nice TV program. When I talked to Raheem from the Furious Five, and he brought up the word romanticized, I said, boom, romanticized. He said a lot of shit is romanticized over time. So to me, a lot of stuff is romanticized over time, in particular right now with all the hype again about certain pieces of history. And especially when you talk about who you're hearing it from. If you're hearing it from celebrities and artists, 9 times out of 10, they just trying to paint a picture of what makes them look good or what they sound. And it may really be what they heard. So that's kind of that. So when you ask about the dungeon, I was never invited to the dungeon. I'm at the radio station where when they got done with the record, they brought the record to us at the radio station, right? I wasn't producing like that. So I'm there from the very first record. Matter of fact, bro, I have all my vinyl. My vinyl is signed by the artist half the time. Raheem the Dream, Sammy Sam the Hitman, J, who should give the records for Kilo. Kilo was not giving the records for himself in 1990. King J, not Edward J. King J. Nabs drove a big body Benz. Nabs hit a record, signed it, right? So when Outkast and all them same thing. I got demos on cassettes playing. Who that by Soleil. I'm going left, but who that by Soleil was played on a cassette for the first time on Hot 97.5 by me. Boom, because they hadn't pressed it up on vinyl yet. So that's our role. So that's why I mean, so I never even the dungeon. I wasn't hearing it like that. I'm here. Here's a new record, or they coming to the club. I'm live at 112 at Esso. Nabs, hear the records. They coming to me, not being funny.
Hmm. Yeah, understand that. For those that don't know what the dungeon is, look at the documentary on the art of organized noise, and you understand what we're talking about. And I want to say thank you to So Def for the So Def Bass All Stars compilation, because you guys do not understand. Those So Def Bass All Star compilation tapes was everything.
So you know the name of Jermaine's studio?
It's Southside, right?
Right. Okay. No, the studio before that one,
I
which you
believe.
probably know.
No, go ahead.
It's Crosswire. That's where we were. That's the studio I was at.
Wow.
When I laid the scratches for 45 for Jermaine, that's where I was at. So I'm getting back to the dungeon thing because if I had been invited to the dungeon, I might have been invited there to lay some scratches down because that's a big part of a DJ's back then existence too, like literally making a living from going to do scratch sessions.
Mm.
On the social net based compilation, got a long story about that, but I produced Coochie Cutters on that. I'm sure you probably know that, right?
Yeah, I probably know Coochie Cutters.
Okay, I'm just saying Coochie Cutters is a single on the social death based compilation, the first one. So I produced it with Player Poncho. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, yeah, Player Poncho. If you don't know, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, ladies, what's up, what's up, what's up? Yes, sir. I know about those records because we heard a lot of those records coming from Atlanta with being from North Carolina. Everything from Atlanta was coming up here and Dad, Raheem the Dream, the most beautiful girl in the world, DJ Taz, that's right. And of course, my personal favorite, I'm not sure this was affiliated with Social Def or not, but Shortest Swing My Way, KP, and Envy. The reason why, because Envy is from North Carolina, from Weldon, which is close to my hometown area of North Carolina. She actually came to perform at my middle school when I was in sixth grade, and we were all hyped once we found out she was from the hometown crib. It was like, oh,
That's very cool.
that's dope. That's dope. Yes, sir.
That's
Now,
very cool.
yes, sir. So another thing I want to get at before we bring on TSB is that I know it's in the lab with DJ Nabs is celebrating 30 years this year. So do you have any events
Yes,
coming
sir.
up celebrating the 30-year anniversary of In the Lab with DJ Nabs?
Yes. So we're having a Club Kai tribute at City Winery in Atlanta on June 14th. And so that's one of the events. Um, we just had an events with Big X from the Coalition DJs. And then also, let me see, what else? Let me see. Oh, the Crate Shop. I'm very excited about this. On djnabs.com, every week we're releasing a set of mixes or live broadcasts or live performances. So basically all my radio career, live performances with crisscross throughout the world, and some of those other things we're making available to people for download. So there's some free editions, then there's some paid editions, then there's some paid collections. So we'll be unveiling packs throughout the year, but there are mixes available right now.
Okay, and where can people check those out at?
DJNabs.com, DJNABS.com.
DJ Nabs, DJNABS.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's DJ Nabs, but don't go away. We got TSB, the Southern Brothers, coming up next on Beyond the Album Cover. Don't go away. All right, we're back once again with another second half interview of Beyond the Album Cover. I have TSB, the Southern Brothers, consisted of Sir Bagums, Nabinski, Mr. Twip, combining contemporary hip hop, R&B, jazz, funk, soul. They formed in January 2025, celebrating 1 year, put out two EPs. My favorite tracks off those EPs, You Come Over, 10 Keys. They performed at the Carolina Theater in Durham with the record DID. Durham is dope. And I believe they had the mayor of Durham up on stage with them, which was definitely a sight to see. Hopefully, he didn't take his shirt off and twist it in the air like a helicopter. If you know, you know. So, we're going to get all of that and then some with TSB, the Southern Brothers. Thank you guys for coming on Beyond the Album Cover and what's going on, fellas.
Oh yeah, appreciate that, man. Much love, much love.
We're gonna apologize. Mr. Twip is being held up, so hopefully he'll join us.
All right, so we just got Sir Bagels and Nabinski. So Mr. Tripp, come in, and now we're gonna keep doing, make it do what it do, baby. So tell us about how TSB formed and how did that come to be?
Well, I mean, uh, me and Nabs met through mutual friends. Like I said, I'm coming from South Carolina, so we met through mutual friends, man, and we've been rocking ever since. We went. It was very unique how we formed because we all had a photo shoot. And Nabs was there, I was there, Twit was there. We had a couple other people there, and the photo shoot went so well. And then one of the publicists said, man, I think y'all look good. Y'all look good. Y'all should be a group or something. And we kind of laughed about it. And then Nabs, being the genius that he is, man, he's like Quincy Jones. He sits back and he looks at the whole thing and he says, hey man, all jokes aside, I think that would be a good idea. So we trusted the instinct, you know what I mean, and we moved forward with it and started recording songs with each other, and there it is, man.
All
Yep.
right. And did you want to expand on that, Nabs? Or you pretty much said it all?
Yeah, I just want to say, listen, as a DJ, and for the most part, when it comes to studio work, I just scratched, kept my mouth closed. Um, but as when we got together and just started working, it just flowed naturally. Everybody kind of understands kind of my role, more of a DJ producer, and but I don't know, man. It's just very exciting. That's what I like to say about it. It's very exciting. It's not something I would thought that I would be doing in my life. I can still DJ, but this right here just allows me to really be where I'm going and not where I've been.
Allows you to expand the palette.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and do it and move. Like right now, you have to move, in my opinion. If you do this for the music and you're not doing it for the industry, because the industry can be misleading, that just changes, and all you'll do is be chasing your tail. You don't have to chase your tail if you want to make music, perform music, sell merch, have an audience, have fans, treat your fans well. None of that really got nothing to do with the music business. That's to chase your tail. Now you want to do that in the music business sort of way. So I'm saying that to say for us as TSB, we didn't ask nobody permission. We became a group, went on stage, made our connections, and we are making our music now, even in spite of the DSP issues, AI music, and everything. As long as we can show up together and perform, and people are excited or people enjoy our music, that's what a group does.
Mm.
Period. So
Yeah,
that's what we're
that's it.
Right. Right. And you guys, you mentioned about DSPs and AI. So what's your guys' take on the way people consume music now, how it feels more, you're letting algorithms determine what you make, and it's all about putting it out faster because the audience listen to content differently as we did growing up where you had to sit through records, whereas you could just easily just skip and it's here today, gone today, it's not really no longevity. I would say.
You want to jump on that bag first?
Yeah. I mean, for me, and working with our group, I think it's how you use the AI. I think a lot of people are well, a lot of artists, I'm not gonna say people, but a lot of artists use the AI for lazy purposes. Like they might just want to do it just because they feel like, oh well, this is the new wave. I could just make a song. I could actually type it in and make a song. But then you have groups out there and people that use the AI for the necessity of mixing, for the necessity of actually composing and putting something together original, taking original tracks, original things, and uploading it into the AI system for the AI system to continue to take what you have done originally and kind of like put it into a more digital space. And I think that's the difference. I think what's getting ready to happen is that the AI is getting ready to separate the ones that are really creative. Like you're going to really be able to see the creative side of the AI, and then you're going to see the ones that's just up there playing with apps and playing with it.
Playing with AI slop.
Yeah, AI slot. Yeah, they just kind of doing stuff just to be doing it. And the reason why I'm saying it is because when you scroll up your timeline, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, you see regular people. I've seen somebody grandma up there put her face on Catwoman, just to do it. And I think things like that, that's cool for consumers to do if they just want to be silly with it. But then as time progresses and as we move on into the future, it's not going to be no more to where let me say it like this. Now you'll be able to create a virtual world that I think what we have already kind of done. That's kind of what we're doing when you go to mcity.com, which means we're bringing you into a virtual world where you can come get the latest music, the latest scratches from Nabs. You can get the new TSB stuff. You can get merch. You can get all that. So now it's you've seen those goggles that you put on and you sitting there. Now you're inside the video game. So I think AI, I think the more creative we get with music, we're going to be able to take our fans and actually bring them into our world without us having to like be all over the world, if that makes sense. I don't have to be in China to take a person from China to bring them into Sir Bagham's world. I think that's what's going to be the cool thing about the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of feels like it's the creator worlds and like the Sims. And if you play 2K, you got the cities with your avatar and everybody's mixing and mingling.
Right.
And that's the good thing about the internet is that you're making the world smaller, but at the same time, you're not really getting that human connection, human feel. So moving right along, I want
Right.
to talk about R2L, Ready to Love. What was the story behind that record?
Oh, I'll take that one. So we're all on, as Bagum said, we're on MCity recording. So mcityworld.com is where everything is. And so we started 6 years ago with this project, as far as this label or digital content house, whatever you want to call it. And we started with a project called T1, which is the Cause 2K, a friend of mine, MC of mine, writer of mine, and myself, T1. And here's Mr. Twip checking in. I'll finish my story and we'll talk to Twip. So the Cause 2K and I started doing these songs, and then again, Baggins, we all doing these songs. By the time we get to the Southern Brothers, Ready to Love is already a song that the Cause 2K had done. So I'm laughing because he says I took the song from him and gave it to the group. And we laugh about that. But that's kind of what happened. The song, it fit us. It fit the group. and if you know the Cause 2K, and then with the Cause 2K is also on the record. He goes by C2K. So Ready to Love is the Southern Brothers featuring C2K. So he's one of our honorary Southern Brother members.
That's right.
That's the story behind Ready to Love.
All right, that's definitely dope. And we got Mr. Twip in the building. Mr. Twip, what's going on with you, sir?
Yeah, trying to get this daggone camera right. Am I live?
Yes, you live, baby,
I'm
in
live.
flesh and in living color,
There
baby.
we go. There we go. What it is, y'all.
So you only missed 2 questions, so you ain't too bad.
There we go.
All right.
We in there.
Yeah, we in there like swimwear. So I want to go into the EPs that you guys put out. You put out Fall Through and the Summer Through. This question is for anybody to take. How did you all determine the tracks for both of those projects, and what would you say was the growth in between those 2 EPs?
Well, I'll just take the first half and somebody else take the other half. So it's a TSB Summer and then Fall Through. And our goal is to drop one every season. So that's kind of how we got to at least the titles and rolling through. What was the second part of the question?
And what would you say was the growth from the first EP to the second EP?
Somebody think that.
I would definitely say the first EP was kind of like how can I put it? Kind of like everybody meeting everybody on a creative level, which means I never had worked with Twip before. I have worked with Nabs, and also Twip has worked with Nabs, but not all three of us together, if that makes sense. So I think the first EP was kind of like an introduction to everybody individual styles coming together creatively. And then I think the Fall Through, which is the second EP, I think that was more a little bit more adding seasoning to the greens, like yeah. So it was just a little bit more flavor to it because we kind of got used to each other at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nah, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's exactly that's what's going on. That first EP was real organic, right? Those songs came just like, Nav said, I got this idea. Boom. Me and Bad is like second batch is more of
Is he breaking up on y'all then?
Yeah,
You breaking
Yeah.
up?
yeah. Twip, you're breaking up.
You froze.
Yeah, you froze on us. So it sounds like. Go ahead, Twip.
you got me? You got me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So that second batch is like that whole organic feel. It didn't leave because it was still like we growing as this group. And the whole group process is like we're bringing in every aspect that each entity, has, gelling it together. So yeah, everything's feeling good on this second one, and that just let you know right there the third gonna be even. Woo, watch out.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna feel like how it is. If you go to pig pickings, you got to get that fresh right off the grill because before everybody start chopping it,
Right.
that it's gonna be all gone. So we're definitely looking forward to that third EP when it comes around. So how did you guys come up with the name TSB, or did you guys kick around any other names for selling on TSB?
I can't even. How do we? I want to give Jay some credit. I know Jay.
I'm gonna say a little outside influence on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
Jay.
definitely say Jade. She's a great publicist. She's a great. I mean, she actually came up with the name. I think just off of all three of us being from the South. I'm from South Carolina, and they're from North Carolina originally. But I think us being from the South and being Southern brothers, and I think it kind of fit. Yeah, it definitely fit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it dropped, I gotta say that name dropped is why I can't even think of anything beforehand. Because when it came, we was like we TSB.
Right.
That's it. That's
That's
it.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, but the Soul Brothers. So you guys describe your
That's
music
right.
as the new funk. What elements in your sound creates this distinct and emerging genre? Anybody can take this question.
You'll get it a twit right there. New Funk Master.
I'm gonna break it down. Break it down. So it's like this. Everybody in our I guess demographic, right? Our target audience. We ain't young bucks, we ain't geezers, but everybody know that funk, right? So we grew up in that funk era, and but we got that hip hop, that soul music, that like everything you can gumbo that thing all up. That's what new funk is, and it's real simple. It ain't too deep into it. You just keep it on the surface. It's just new funk. So it's that old funk music that you grew up in the living room. The old record player that your daddy had, mama had, and all that stuff. This is the new funk. So we just bringing back a new sound. If that make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Makes perfect
But you
sense.
know,
Yes,
I just want to say like because it's something about like hip hop always kept the great elements of things alive. That's why hip hop brought the jazz in and the funk and the soul and everything. And so hip hop has been taken from and all these different things happen to hip hop. And so we got to preserve everything that we made, funk, R&B, hip hop. You know, now because we're not going to just say we know hip hop group. Like we would never
Right.
do that now because people's definition of hip hop is all over the place. First of all, but we know we
Mhm.
can take everything good that's ever came through, and put it in our shit, you know, and present it. And
That's right. That's
that's
right.
why
So,
I add on to the
and
reform.
yeah, and that's, I mean, you could just tell by my hat, you know what I mean? So, it's almost like taking Big Daddy Kane, Nabs coming in as a DJ, and like a Quincy Jones, and then you got Twip like a James Brown and a Jimi Hendrix, and it's like taking all of that and putting it in a pot of gumbo and saying, we got somebody that can get on the mic and rap if we need to. We got somebody that can get on the mic and do what Twip do and bring that funk, that sound, that soulful singing. And then we got Nabs that can get on there and cut and take you back to Cool Herc and all them. So it's like you getting all that in one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels for me. I can just envision being in somebody's front yard, cars pulled up by the ditch, everybody out front with the trash bag tied to the tree. Somebody's uncle
Hmm.
got something going on the grill. And you know how it
That's
goes
right.
down if you go to those country front yard cookouts. If you
That's
know, you
There
right.
you go.
know.
That's right. And I'm glad you said that because that's the whole feeling of well with a record called Banjo
It is.
that's on the TSB projects. The whole record Banjo, that was kind of the feeling that we was trying to come with. That when you hear that song, you already know I can be on the back of a pickup truck, either going down a hayride or or I could be like you said at a cookout. You know what I'm saying? That song right there will end up probably being right in that category with Summertime, Will Smith, with I Reminisce Over You, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, and you'll be able to get Banjo when you're at your cookout.
Good God.
Hmm. Yep, yep.
Right.
Yeah, the cookout, or you sitting in back of the flatbed truck eating somebody's biscuit from somebody's mom and pop convenience store. If you know, you know. You got to go off a little bit
Right.
to go to the good convenience store to get your good sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. If you see the pickup
Right.
trucks and the old folks hanging out in front of the store, you know the food gonna be fire. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, you know that.
I know. So I want to go back real quick. You guys performed at the Carolina Theater in Durham, which is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. You guys did BID
Yeah.
Durham is Dope. And I mentioned earlier in the intro, you had the mayor of Durham, Leonardo Williams, joining on stage, and it was a packed crowd. So can you tell us a little bit more about that moment, how that felt for you performing at that historic venue in the Bull City?
Well, I do want to say for us, that's one of the things I think that we stand on is our live performance right off the top. Because everybody got their own individual experience. And again, us coming together and that being our first time was incredible. I look at it all the time. I say, man, that was the birth of us. We definitely like to give Leo and his administration a lot of credit just for giving us the opportunity to do that performance really. And yeah, so it was to me it's exciting. I get a bit of goosebumps watching the video to this day, and like that
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And for me, just like we were saying earlier, like for the group to form so organic, and it's not like we became TSB and we went and did your local talent show or your local open mic. We went from TSB straight to the stage with the mayor. And I mean, and nobody, I don't even think we all expected it to really happen that fast and organic, but that's when you know you got something, when you open the door, let God in, and next thing you know, you right there on the stage with the mayor.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, real quick, what you guys got planned for this year? Any upcoming projects we should be aware about? Videos, tours, EPs, songs. So, what you guys got in the works?
I want to jump in right quick. I mentioned earlier where on another segment about the City Winery performance on June 14th. So Southern Brothers will be the opening act for that show. So we're really gearing up for that, and it's all inside the 30th anniversary of In the Lab with Nabs. So our goal is to be busy. I mean, to be honest with you, there's lots of records, and we have lots of records, really. And I think the only way to really make a difference, because everybody can make songs now, is to really be on stage. So our goal is to really just be in people's faces as much as possible.
Staying booked, busy, and blessed. That's how you do it. That's how you keep yourself out of trouble, right? Being booked, busy, and
Sure.
That's
blessed.
right.
That's
That's
what
right.
you do. Yeah. So before we wrap, fellas, you guys got any shout outs you want to give? Plug your socials and where can people find projects?
Well, all our stuff is on mcityworld.com, emcityworld.com. My social media is DJ Nabs.
Yeah, same for me. All our content is on mcityworld.com. All the Southern Brother stuff, all the EP stuff. And other than that, I'm Sir Bagums and Bobby Bagums on Facebook, and pretty much Sir Bagums though on those platforms.
Yeah. I'm breaking up a little bit, seem like, but yeah, y'all know what it is, man. It's TSB, man. It's Mr. Twip. Mr. Twip NC on social media, whatever. Y'all get at us, man. We ain't stopping. Matter of fact, we just starting. It's ridiculous. It's in your ear. Don't worry about it. It's coming.
Yes, sir. And when it comes, it's going to be very good. The sound, the look, everything. You can catch this interview wherever you stream podcasts and on the official YouTube channel, youtube.com/beyond the album cover. So we want to say a big thank you to DJ Nabs along with Sir Baggers and Mr. Trip of the Southern Brothers for coming on, doing this. And you guys are welcome to come back anytime. And you know that is all about love, peace, respect, the love of the culture, love of music. So once again, thank you, DJ Nabs, Sir Bagums, Mr. Trip, the Southern Brothers. Thank
Hey,
you guys
much
for coming
love,
on Beyond
man.
the Album Cover, and you guys are welcome to come back anytime.
Appreciate that, man. I'm sure we'll be out there in New Mexico soon.
Oh yeah. And if y'all do
Yeah,
happen to
I'm
come
talking
out
about I'm
this way,
talking about
be sure to
Hawaiian
smuggle
shirts
some.
and all, man.
Yeah, if y'all do come out here, please bring me a bow box and an all-star special and a cheddar style chicken tray, no onions, no tomatoes, hush puppies, fries, either cheer wine or sweet tea to drink. And we'll call it square, all right?
I got you, man. And if we come out there, all we're gonna need is probably the same thing, but we're gonna need some tacos and some sriracha and a little bit of hot sauce, man.
Oh yeah, I know some spots, even though Mexican ain't my thing, I'm gonna hook you up. You know that, right?
My man,
Yes,
my
sir.
man,
Yes,
my
sir.
man.
Yes, sir. All right.